got the best of the deal.
entered into this. Why Lauren Westover entered into this? Do you know why?
Well, they were friends apparently. I don't know why. No.
Grandpa went to him and said, take care of Grandma. No, take care
Of Gladys.
of Gladys while I'm gone.
And then they got,
Oh, okay.
But you knew that.
or something happened there.
I didn't know that.
Grandpa gave him the responsibility to take care
I'm glad.
of
Of
Gladys.
Gladys. And it was
And I guess he did,
it
didn't
was
he?
too much responsibility.
I guess he took care of her.
So
But anyway, so that's how that worked out, and then mom and dad and Westovers were friends.
yes,
They weren't close,
They-
but they were friends. I mean,
Yeah.
they were peaceful.
the peaceful
In
people.
fact, when Jack, I don't know how old Jack was when he got his eye hurt. Do you?
Oh, he was.
Whoa, whoa.
Huh?
Oh, he was 15, 16 years old.
No, he wasn't that old. He was,
When he had his eye hurt.
when he injured his eye, he was a littler boy.
No, he wasn't. He was working on the motor machine here at the farm, hammering on a piece of the machinery, and the piece of steel got his eye.
Now, see, I always thought he was 5 or 6 years old.
No, he
No,
wasn't.
he was.
He was older to work on the machine. work on the farm.
Are you
Okay,
taking,
so
are
he-
you taking pictures?
He was
She's
he was
taking the
supposed to
message.
be talking. Okay, Gladys was supposed to be changing that bandage and putting medicine in,
Well,
and she wasn't doing it. And she told Mom, "You better take him. You're doing a better job. You keep him at your house because you're doing a better job of taking care of his eye than I am." And he lost the major part of that sight because, and Gladys claims it was her fault that he lost the major part of his sight
no.
because she didn't
You know,
take
this
care
is-
of it.
And this is one of the things that I need to know because Van and I got the same impression of how Jack lost his eye. He was working on a mowing machine, repairing the sickle
Blade.
blade. Jack was.
I know, but who was he working with?
here.
He was working here.
Oh, he was working
he was
here.
on
He was working here,
a team. He had a team with the motor machine.
team of horses. And then the sickle bar of the mowing machine wasn't working right, so
And it flipped up and hit him. And
No.
well,
He had a hammer
he hit
Oh.
the
and a piece of metal.
hit something on the mowing machine, and a chip of metal flew in his eye. Now, I remembered Mom and Dad taking him to Pocatello to this eye doctor to try to fix
see
it.
if they could save it.
Yeah,
Now, on this sickle bar, can't you remember a ball
Yes.
sitting on top of that? And that wouldn't move for him. And so it was trying to move it.
yeah.
And then that's where the piece of steel comes.
Okay. So anyway, Gladys always said that he had saved his eye if she had left him with Mom and Dad.
Well,
No, the doctors also told him no movies. And lo and behold, that's what he did on Saturday night.
See, and at our house there wouldn't have been any movies. Because Gladys and those guys. Anyway,
Okay, so-
that's what she used
So
to
they
say to
didn't
Mom.
want him to be moving his eye
For the
and
You know,
using it like that.
for keeping track of the movie,
Yeah.
they told him not to. Well, he didn't. He went to every movie Saturday night.
anyway, in this discussion, I still have good feelings with Gladys because I can remember
Oh, definitely.
going to the on July 24th, '86.
Yes.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, back up. And Dad was given a temple divorce, which was unheard of in those days.
Okay.
Was not
Well-
heard of in those days?
No.
I kind of
So
There-
Dad was given one, huh?
Was not
Right.
heard of.
And see, Mom's talked about it.
That was very unusual. But
It was a very unusual thing for them to grant a temple divorce. And they had that temple divorce before Mom and Dad got married,
Huh.
from what Mom told me. If I'm wrong, correct
No.
me.
I'm not gonna, you're fine. That's,
Anyway, so then
We'll
mom
not-
and dad were
we'll-
married in the temple
all
in
right.
Little Falls.
do you have a picture page like this?
No,
I do
I
because
do,
think
but
that-
not of the family, not of this family,
I
of my
think
family.
I think
Well,
I
I
fixed
don't
that
know, I got
page.
the much of these for our kids from
We'll have to go
Lois
take her in
and
get her a
Bernard.
copy of all of them. We're gonna get one.
I got a bunch of these from his record. So if you want one of these, I can,
I would love to have one.
I already have it.
You have it?
I think I started that book, one of those books.
Well, leave it that way and we'll get a copy of it.
Well, he's got,
all right.
He's got it.
more than one
Huh?
there. He's got more than one in there, so.
Well, we can take it into the shipping copy and get copies.
Okay, do you remember much about the move from Salem to here?
I walked behind the team.
Huh?
You did.
I walked behind the team
Okay,
from Salem to here.
And you were how old?
6 years old.
okay.
That year I started school in Moody.
Well,
We can get a copy
now
of
I
that.
remember
How am I gonna get a copy of that?
Yeah. We'll make her.
I remember chasing duck. Well, I won't say chasing ducks. I remember trying to trail some ducks in the wagon. I don't.
He
I
was
was 4
6.
years
How
old.
old were you?
Huh?
If he was 6, how
2
old
years
were
younger.
you? 4?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
So he didn't have to walk, he got to ride.
So it was only that Mary Ann wasn't born then.
Oh, no.
Mary Ann wasn't
She
born
was
yet.
still, well, she wasn't even thought of by then.
Was she
Mary
still in
Ann.
the oven or not even thought of?
She wasn't even thought of.
Okay.
All right.
Now, can I
Yes.
ask a question here? When did Mom have her miscarriage? Was it between you and Mary Ann?
Well,
No,
now you're
between
you're getting unknown territory. I didn't know she had one. Okay, no, don't
that's
worry about it.
okay, that's not
Or-
a,
That's
or-
part of the
or
history.
between Mary
it doesn't
Ann
have
and-
to be a
Huh?
secret.
You
Or
don't-
between Mary Ann and Tim.
Whoop, whoop, you're getting too
So I
distant.
don't know.
I thought it was between you and Mary Ann,
Well,
and that was the spacing between. And I
Well,
could
there's
be
not a-
wrong.
Well,
She
There's
said-
not a lot of space between him, because they ended
There's
up in
more
the same
space.
grade.
There's
By the
more
time they
space
graduated.
There's
between.
it's got to be Mary Ann and Tim.
Yeah,
Tim,
because there's
that's
about,
that's
Okay.
where you find your space.
yeah.
it's on
But
Mary
she
Ann.
said
I and
she
Mary Ann
never
are only
wrote it
18 months,
down.
about 8, very close together.
Actually,
Yeah.
there's
We were-
more space between Tim and Judy though.
But
So-
she did talk about their having a miscarriage and that she didn't write it down. She says
Okay.
you
Well, I
don't
would-
write a
guess it
miscarriage
was
down on
between
your
Mary
journal,
Ann and
but you,
Tim,
Yes.
not
It,
Tim and I.
Yeah, because it was too close for me and Judy.
well,
Yeah, me and Mary Ann.
hey,
Because people have always thought he and Mary Ann were twins.
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
And see,
especially when they
Even
ended up
in
the
school,
same-
they had a
ended up in the
struggle,
same grade.
thinking that you two of
And
you
Mary
were
Ann
Well,
and I
yeah.
are the same age.
Well, you know, I've carried this secret for a long time. When I graduated, when they started me in school, I wasn't ready. So they took me out, and then Mary Ann and I started the first grade together.
Okay.
Well,
Well, your birthday was a little late in the,
Well,
your
that's-
birthday is a little late in the year, so you
Well, that's
probably
true.
weren't ready.
that's true. Well, anyway, then we did pretty well. I mean, I still haven't struggled in school. I mean, anyway. When they decided to merge schools in the Sugar City district, they were closing Moody and Edmonds and the Moody School. they weren't going to sell it, but they were just closing it for,
Cost.
I don't know, teachers' reasons
Teacher,
anyway.
cost for the, or
And I don't know the teacher that I had.
Consolidation of the district.
The teacher
Well,
that I
but
had.
they didn't close. I went to Moody School,
I know you did, but it wasn't.
but
It
they
was
closed it
after
in
they
between
converted.
there, huh?
You went there as a grade,
Yeah, not as a high school.
right? You went there as an arrangement schoolroom.
I think we were in the 4th grade or something.
Yeah, for your grade.
For our grade. And then I did go to Edmonds, and then right after that, they closed them both
Right.
and moved us into Sugar to that gray rock building.
That's right.
And,
Okay.
And when I gonna just tell you, it's funny, cute. When we were up here going to school, it wasn't beside Mom to get dressed up like Santa Claus and do all the things that she liked to do, make her sugar cookies and whatever. And she came up to Moody School Christmas time. She came up to Moody School, and she's dressed as Santa. You really can't tell who she was, and she's dressed as Santa, and she's coming passing the cookies out. And I said, "That's not Santa Claus, that's my mom. I can tell by her hands." Mom wasn't very happy with me. But she came from school to Ethel Nave's with a plate full of sugar cookies, Christmas sugar cookies. Ethel Nave could not figure out who she was, and Mom wouldn't tell her. So Ethel never knew that it was Mom that brought her that plate of cookies.
Okay.
But she enjoyed doing
So
stuff
what
like
was your
that.
story?
Huh?
What was your story?
Oh,
You were talking about Edmund's closing.
Oh, Edmund.
oh, all right.
I mean,
We were in the 8th grade, and there was only 3 of us. Renee Skinner, Mary Ann, and I. And that was the tops of the graduating class of Moody Creek. Well, they were going to close the school, and they didn't want to send me to 8th grade in Sugar City. So the teacher, he says, "Well, you're not ready to graduate from the 8th grade, but because they're closing the school, I'm going to graduate you anyhow." I wasn't dumb enough. I wasn't smart enough to graduate in 8th grade. So, but he let me go. He did sign my certificate of graduation from the 8th grade, and then I started freshman at Sugar City. Well, about that time, too, when I graduated from the 8th grade, Kent Johnson,
Yeah.
he was just getting ready to leave high school or something. Anyway, he was on the bus and he says, "Why don't you play football?" I said, "I don't know anything about it." But I did. I signed up for the school football team as a freshman and played 4 years there. Then I went and,
And Kent
Well-
passed away.
huh?
Kent passed away. I got a note from the Weldings, and that Kent has passed away.
Oh,
just this,
About 6 months ago.
just this.
no, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't, that's,
Yeah, but I just thought you guys would like to know that
Okay.
he had.
there's another story that, okay, well, there's nothing coming up.
That's fine.
Okay,
Full of stories today.
during this period of us moving from Salem over there was during the Depression. And my impression that because of the Depression, he could hang on to the farm because of banks and whatever.
Out there.
No, here.
Here.
Huh?
Out
Here?
to say,
Over there to move
over to
in Salem.
Oh, in Salem.
In Salem. Grandma already had this piece of ground right here. Some business deal with Coopers or some, I think Coopers is the name because they're big sheep people. And somehow Grandma ended up with this piece of ground. Well, Uncle Lester was kind of administrator for Grandma's affairs, Grandma Thomson's affairs, and let Dad come up here and try to do what he could with it. So,
So that's when they moved to here.
yes, when he moved here, when he lost that Salem farm. All right. Well, it was a pretty rundown place when we come here, and it was a struggle to keep it going. Because you can go, if you remember, the ditches, they were so unfriendly to us, unfriendly to you, and that you take the biggest horse Dad had, put him in a ditch, and you couldn't see the back. Anyway, I couldn't. Maybe that was me because
You're little.
yeah, okay. But we struggled with that, and I kept growing and growing up, and I enjoyed the horses.
But this time he had a wife that was willing to fight along beside him.
That's true.
And worked as hard as he did.
Yes. To hang on to. And she did. You have to admit that as kids. Right alongside him to fight to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely was not
I can
afraid of-
remember up here
not
by
afraid of hard work.
Parkinson's, up here by Parkinson's, and we wanted to put cows up there. Well, we can't let those cows go up there with that fence like it is. And we worked and we worked and we worked. And I thought the rabbits could never get through the fence when she got done. Anyway, she was really particular about cattle getting over on the Parkinson's piece of ground. So that was a really tight fence with any willows that I could find to weave into that fence. So
I can't find anything in their papers that shows.
okay, I remember that one experience with Mother.
But the survey, I don't have a fence, but I have a survey that shows that road up there,
Okay,
that dirty, dusty road belongs on our property. That's what threw Bob Huskinson for a loop.
So the fence
When
is,
he
on,
just-
the
when
fence
he
is
just-
really on the wrong side of the road.
Right.
Right.
When he discovered that the road belonged to the Thomson farm, because he thought
It's
it
that
belonged to the
road.
Huskinson
That
farm.
road and not this road.
okay, that road kind of
dirty-
curves.
That dirty
That
one
road
up
comes
there
and makes it
as you
curve.
turn.
Just a little, not much, but the fence goes, and then that road, the fence was here, and then the road come along like this.
Yeah.
So the fence would be straight, but the
Yeah.
road curved,
Yeah.
and so the property line went straight,
And
Yeah.
and
That's why Tim and
got that.
they were having
That's
a
why
real
he and
time.
Bob got in a hustle.
All right.
So that made it so you really had to have the
Surveyed
survey.
and say, leave us alone. So then when they surveyed, Bob came in and pulled the stakes out.
Well,
So we called the survey guy and said, he's pulled the stakes out, so what do we do now? He says, well, we'll take care of that. And he came in, and if we go up there now, we have to have a Geiger counter, because he drove metal posts where those stakes are supposed to be. Up there where those potatoes are right now and along there are metal posts. And we'd have to have a Geiger counter to find them.
Sunk into the ground so that they can't pull them out.
So they couldn't pull them out. It was an interesting
All right.
time, but
So anyway, a surveyor could find them in a
Yep.
heartbeat.
to sell it, I've got to have it surveyed again.
okay. You know, but this farm has been a struggle,
Well, don't you
frost-wise.
don't you remember the day? And it's not my thing. The farm did what we cropped, but if you'll remember, we met at IPCA Idaho
Oh.
Production Credit Association. And
Oh,
I invited you guys all to be there. And we sat there and I said, are you ready for me to do this? And I paid the farm off. And we didn't owe anybody for anything. The farm was paid off. And I saved it and and I'm not patting my back. People had to work hard to get a farm off this, and so we could do that.
But in order to get this farm where it would grow a crop,
Hay,
it was a struggle because
whether it
every-
was beets or hay or
yeah, we'd always grow hay. They'd always grow hay, grain, and potatoes. I mean, that wasn't a problem to it. The problem to this farm at that particular time, and there's no grazing thing, our climate has changed, so we don't have as much snow as we used to have. And I don't know why, but anyway.
follow through on the crops that was raised. Why were they raised? You say beets. They was on a contract with the sugar company as they was harvested. So were peas. So what other?
what other crop was there that you sold them right to the company.
You-
Well, it's like it is now with their barley and their potatoes.
Well, but what kept the farm alive was on these subsidies from the different crop
Those companies.
to keep the summer going.
Yep. And then Mom went to work for the sugar
Sure,
school district.
yeah. But who else
Yep.
probably saved the farm from Leo Huskinson?
So did Dad have a fight with Leo?
No. Leo's Dad's friend,
Oh, that's what I thought. I didn't think that Leo.
Ken. Now, Ken was a different ball of wax.
It's his sons that were.
No, this is a different brother.
Was Bobby's brother?
No, Leo and Ken were brothers.
Okay, it was Ken, and Bob was Ken's.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Leo kept me on my mission.
Well, life goes on, doesn't it?
But
Okay.
I
Okay,
didn't know
along
you
with
knew, I didn't know you knew that story.
Huh?
I didn't know you knew that story. But if Grandpa got in trouble, he'd go to Leo. See, Leo's is the top end, and to the south,
all right.
and
Well-
then on the ditch.
Okay.
Dad got along with again
Ken.
Leo.
But he didn't get along with Ken.
No,
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, you can turn this nasty story. I don't care whether you're talking to us, or Summerses, or Jensen's, or Harris's. If you're up there, and you farm next to Huskinson's, they itched their road till they were taking part of your land.
They inched over and over and over.
They just kept inching, and Frank said, yeah, Judy, they just keep inching unless you scream.
And Tim
Well,
did.
Yeah. And say, hold it, that piece of land's mine, get back where you belong, you know.
Okay.
So it was a case of Dad said, we don't have to fight with him. But Bob teased Tim all the time, teased the heck out of him. And he just kept it up. Bob didn't grow up. And Tim finally said, the heck with this.
Well,
And that's where we got R&M Thomson Farms, was when he slugged Bob. And I said, we got to have something that Bob can't sue for and have.
Can't touch it.
And that's what we did.
I don't remember if we ever, while I was here, ever trying to grow beets on the other side of the canal.
oh, on the upper end, no,
I don't remember beets up
for
there.
water.
Huh?
For water.
Yes,
We couldn't get it up there early enough for the water.
right. Okay. I think that would be true.
That's the hardest piece of land for people to grow on.
But I do remember beets on this side of the
Yeah.
canal.
Oh, I remember them, and I'm not. I remember going out and being taught how to
Yeah.
hoe and chop and.
How many beach tops did you eat?
Huh?
And I didn't like to thin them. I didn't like to
He
thin
said,
them.
how many beet tops did you eat for greens?
Yeah,
Oh,
So,
probably a
we
few
used
that
to
I
enjoy
didn't
the
realize.
beets in the spring.
I just ate it. I probably
My dad
just
always
ate
had a
it.
few beets too.
and I,
You know, not realize. When I was a kid, if Mom put it in front of me, I ate it.
like I said, I didn't like the thin beets. I wasn't anyway. And when it comes time for chore time, I would beg Dad to let me go milk the cows, and he and the family stay there to thin beets.
Sounds like my kids. We'd get up there on the, doing the potatoes,
Okay.
and they'd wanna come down to the barn.
And just on this other side of the garage here, Jesus Garage, there was a remodeled chicken coop that we milk cows in too, after the chickens got there and milk cows in them.
When we put the milker together.
Huh?
When they put the milking machine in.
Right.
That's the only time I saw your mother a little frustrated. Because your dad built that barn and it put that barn right where the window was so she couldn't see the Tetons.
Okay, get back to the problems we had at the farm. And we used to have a lot more snow than we're getting now.
Yeah.
When the springtime come and the weather warmed up, water would come off of that dry farm. It didn't have anywhere to go but across this farm.
So we got all the topsoil.
Well, the canal was there, and it was puddling up there pretty good. And they finally broke a hole in the canal and really made a wash the gully down through that piece, that farm, that piece of ground. And along with trying to make farm, Dad had to pay for a guy to come in with a land leveler and equipment to straighten that piece of ground up so he could farm it.
For the summer.
Okay, you follow me?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the dirt pit has been built out of Moody Hollow. Water came out of Moody Hollow, and that dirt pit was formed from Moody Hollow. Now, am I wrong there?
Right, okay.
Does that make
What?
sense?
Well, anyway, after Dad had paid for the tractor work and levelers guys, it was a struggle to make it
Those
meet again.
payments.
We finally got the farm where we could irrigate it again. And all the ditches that were too deep or deep for us, they had to be rebuilt. And I think by rebuilding them the way he did, if we didn't have a ditches coming north, east, and
They were going
west.
They were going north.
We used to have a ditch coming east and west up there, and we had one about where the pump is sitting now. You had a ditch going straight north,
Okay. Yeah.
and we used that for a long time. The way that is there. So every spring, water was giving us a problem. So Dad had the tractor. I don't know whether Russell Wilding come in and made this ditch, made this dike. Put
This
dike
dike, I
up.
don't know, because I spent many of my teenage years mopping the house of the water that came through the barn and
Well,
then through the house, and Daddy finally got it up here in his head that if he put this dike in and around behind the barn and down the side, we could quit mopping the house in the spring. Now, what it made it do was go down through this field, but it created problem for people who built there only until they learned what we tried to tell them. And Kevin Virgin wouldn't have any trouble with it, but he sold it. And now he's not happy that he sold it. But the people that live there now, okay, you should see how deep that is. That road is off into our farm. And the county put in that culvert that's right out here. So we told the people, Hamblins, okay, you've got to keep the snow out of that culvert. And
But
it'll go right on down you past Rhett, Summers's, and you won't.
But the county at the time was not going to put the culvert in.
No, it took them a while when they finally did it.
Well, Dad told him, he says, you don't put a culvert in there, back up enough equipment to load my furniture up. Because he told him that because of the, anyway, yeah, then they finally put a culvert in there.
Finally
Put the-
culvert. So Hamlin's wouldn't
So the
believe
water
us.
could get down to the
Yeah, I
Teton
said, you
River.
got to keep the snow out of the culvert. And Hamlin's didn't do that. And it came, if the
Well-
water, anyway, if the water has to go through, then it whipped around and came in their basement. I said, you got to keep the culvert empty and it won't do that to you. They had to happen to them twice, didn't they, before we convinced them?
Kevin Virgin had it once.
Did he? But once we got people convinced this is the way you have to do it if you're going to live right there.
Oh.
Anyway. I haven't lived with it all because I went away to school and I taught school away from here and I went to and then I went to St. Anthony and
During one of these floods, this road here between us and Lewis Nave would always be full of water. I mean, in the spring at the time, but
yeah,
it would always be full of water.
we could always tell. Can you remember when in the winter when the drifts would get really big? We're going, well, it's going to be a fun spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Well, but
Oh, Summers is Roy and Frank, when they were still, their kids were still growing up, they were kind of experimenting with snowmobiles or kind of land, sand tractors or whatever you want to call them. But they had a pickup. And they were, and I think we're going to go to, we're going to Rexburg to a basketball game. I don't know whether we were playing Rexburg that night or not. But we got a ride with them. But we had to ride in the back of the pickup. And it was not a warm ride. It was kind of cold. And then I thought it was raining at the time, but I can't verify that. But after that ride, come home the next morning, I told Mother, I can't get up, I can't move. Well, right soon she decided your legs are frozen. Anyway, she got me up, we got to me moving, and it was not a fun thing to do, but on that ride I'd froze my legs going through that water because they had a four-wheel drive that they could maneuver the water.
yeah, life has changed a little for all of us that way, hasn't it?
Well, about that, and after that I started getting big enough and old enough, and Van went to Louisiana on their Baton Rouge on his mission. Well, that created a little bit of stir, just a little bit. Well, maybe not a little bit. It wasn't too bad. But anyway, when I mentioned Kent Johnson up here, Hugh Johnson was his dad. And, well, we don't want you to go to the Army, but we'll get you in the Navy, because that was supposed to be in a safer place at the time. So Kent went to the Navy and not the Army. Well, about the same time, Van went on his mission. And there was kind of a rumors around the neighborhood that, well, and at this time as well, when Van had been to Boise, and they turned him down for some health reason or something, but it never bothered him. I mean, he hasn't had any problem with it in that sense. Well, anyway, the thoughts were going around, well, send him on a mission so he doesn't have to go to the Army. Well, no, not a lot of those people knew that he'd already been turned down for the Army.
And Mom and Dad wouldn't speak up and say, he's already been turned
And,
down, you know.
So, and they were talking about, well, okay, then Van returned, and I got old enough
4 years later.
to want to go. And Dad says, "Is going on a mission?" Okay, I was going to Rick's College, Van was too. But there was Reuben Rao and John Pincock. And he says, "Let's go to the Army." I says, "Well, I have already been to Boise for my physical fitness and passed it. So if you want to go, we'll go." So I went, they said, "Okay." But I says, if you miss your physical, you'll come home. I won't. I'll go on to the Army because I've already had this experience. And Dad says, "No, well, he wanted me to go on a mission first." And I says, "No, I'm going to go to the Army because of Mother's and her feelings at the time. No, I'm going to the Army." All right. So I did go. And it wasn't a bad experience. Some things I didn't like, some things I did like. But it wasn't not a bad experience for me. And after I come home, then with Wendell Stuckey was my bishop, and he called me to New Zealand. Or, well, he sent my papers in, and I went to New Zealand. I was gone for 36 months.
That's because you had to go by boat and come home by boat.
Yeah,
36.
Yeah, we
You were
went
there
by
for
both
I thought
both
you were,
ways.
I thought it was like 2.5 years.
what?
I thought you were 2.5 years.
What's 36 months? That's 3 years.
That's 3.
30 months,
Oh,
something like that.
yeah, it was 30 months. Anyway, then, okay, but I wanted to just to overcome those things, and then the farm kind of emerged, and it was always a struggle to make ends meet, and then when we started to rent it out, then they started to make a little more progress and things like that, and those were good things. I mean, we had a lot of positive things about this farm.
Well, after that, you couldn't afford to buy the machinery. You know, to keep it going, we couldn't afford to buy the machinery.
Right.
The older machinery is wearing out, and the new machinery is like.
And now a new tractor is what, $20,000-$30,000,
Even under them.
100.
Probably
50 maybe.
50 and 60,000.
and you can't keep up with that. No. Now, if you want to know, Kevin got the little white pickup that Tim had. We went through a little bit with that with the insurance company because they chewed us out and said there's no way that he can drive that, Kevin can drive that to work if it's insured with the farm. And I said, what farmer doesn't drive his pickup to work? Anyway, we took it off that insurance, and turned the title over to him and Irene, and
And
they
I
turned,
gave it to him,
and then he gave the she gave the title to
and I gave the cattle pickup to Kimberly.
Kevin, and then he got insurance
And
on
they
it.
came out last night, and it's all insured, everything's done, license was all taken care of, and it's
For
in there.
Kimberly and those guys, and they
Yes,
have the
in
truck
their
that's
name
sitting
now.
over here.
Well, it did start with Uncle Jack and I throwing rocks. But as the rock didn't hurt for a while. And then it started decaying the bones in the leg. And then that's when I started to complain to Grandpa and Grandma. Well, I don't know where Dr. Rigby got a hold of cod liver oil. But they start giving me those cod liver oil pills like you could taste the dumb things. And then that's all I'd asked was for Grandpa to hold me. I can remember that as it went on. And I guess that when it hurt, I didn't go to school. So if I didn't go to school, well, they couldn't pass me on. Because even though Mother was a teacher, she didn't continue of helping me get through school. She never, well, progressed on that at all, that I know of. But then finally, I don't know the men there that gave me a blessing, but
Did you have to take the first grade over?
oh yes, yeah. That's why I'm 1 year behind, actually. For you look at the schedule, it's 1 year behind. But then Grandpa gave me a blessing, and I can't remember any of it. But as it comes about, that he says Grandpa would take the pain that I was having if they could release it. And they did. I don't know if that's the bishop or which one, but that's what's happened. And since then, my leg not during growing up years. I was, some of them still say I limp, but I don't, the leg can carry me. So, as of growing up years, my leg has been good, but I babied it. Don't get me wrong. I'm careful of how far I can go on it. And this is what my question, it hit me up high in the, what you call it, top of the leg. But now, it seems like it's down here. And why, I don't know. But it looks like you're trying to push a wood, the mallet, down through that inner part of the leg. But I still do not have trouble with aching or pain, none. But I do have to be careful. I get tired, I gotta quit.
You have to quit.
Yep.
And your
Okay.
kids are careful of you, I know that.
What about when you went to the army? To Boise when you were going to join the army. What happened?
Only thing there, they give me a 4F because of my heart, not my leg.
Okay, but that was at the time of drafting, and it was the Korean War, right?
Yes, go ahead.
And so the attitude of the people in the community was what?
Well, it was there.
That you went on a mission to get out of the war.
Yeah, you went on a mission to get out of war.
Aren't we funny? People for who we.
People didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Well, by that time, I'd been to Boise, had my physical, had the deferment, and then I was released to go, on your way, because the military didn't want me,
Yeah.
or any of the
Sad to send somebody on missions.
well, but still,
But nobody in the community knew that you'd gone to Boise.
And had the heart.
yeah, had already released from the service because of war.
Isn't it interesting what we think we should know about people? Yeah.
I can't remember if it was on Tim or Roy coming home from their mission, and Dad got up in church when they had him talk the report of their mission, and he said he never got to finish his mission. Dad didn't. And he says, and they thought that Van shouldn't have gone on a mission because of Army. And he says, those stories are wrong. He says, I didn't finish my mission because of problems. Van didn't go because of health, but the community didn't know. Or words to that effect.
Oh. You just never know. What.
Would you like another story about Van?
Yes.
Well, I like the story about Van getting his patriarchal blessing.
Tell whatever stories you want.
Before you went on your mission?
Before. I'd been in good health only on the leg, but
Yeah.
it was the Archibald that gave me the blessing. And he says that your later years will be your happiest years. And as it comes about,
And if you served faithfully, what would happen? If you served faithfully, what would happen health-wise?
my health would continue. I would not have any problem.
And your heart wouldn't give you any problems.
It didn't mention heart.
It didn't.
It just said he would return in better health
Oh, in better health.
than what he left. You want me to go get it?
No, that's pretty well that's some of it. That even though they told me to give this heart condition to my mission president, I never did. I don't think that they knew, anything about it. The only thing they might have done, well, that didn't contain any of it. But this is what President Archibald told us, that if I served a good mission and come home faithfully, I'd be in better health when I left.
And then when we got engaged and went to get married, you had to have a physical. Both of us had to have a physical.
In those days.
And in his physical, they found no problem with his heart at
No
all.
heart problem.
Huh.
Turning it off.
They don't have to get physicals anymore, do they?
I wouldn't know. I haven't
Missionaries?
applied.
Missionaries still have to get physicals.
No, to get married.
Oh, no.
They used to.
Used to have a physical to get married.
That's interesting.
Okay, your other story is Mom used to go visiting, teaching, and Relief Society meetings when it was held in the week. And one day she left, and if I remember the story right, she tied an apron on you, and you had to mop the floor. You had to scrub the floor, and you found a can of what? Pineapple. He ate that whole can of pineapple. And for years after that, he couldn't stand
You
pineapple.
couldn't stand the sight of pineapple, huh?
It's a good thing we're telling these now with remembering, because some of it is, we're losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember mopping the floor, but not with the apron on.
You know, it was you that told me you had to put on Mom's apron.
But I mopped that floor more than once. She,
Well, there was only one time with a can of pineapple that I know about. So,
Yeah.
but I thought that was a cute one that went with it.
I wish I'd remembered yesterday to ask you guys. I don't know how old I was when my appendix erupted. 10?
somewhere, yeah, you wouldn't, you know.
Were you home from your mission when it happened?
Oh, yes.
And these guys had come to the door. After they let me come home, I still had the bandages and it seeped and it stunk. And these guys had come to my bedroom door and say, "You stink." And Mom would say, "Would you leave her alone?" And I was just in that, there was a bed in that room off the kitchen.